Popular wisdom tells us that you don't learn by magic, but you learn, often, with difficulty, with sacrifice, self-denial and, above all, through memorization work that rarely flows easily and spontaneously. Even cognitive sciences say more or less the same thing, that is, that repetition and memorization are the engines of knowledge construction. This does not coincide at all with the endorsement of a mechanical process of memorization, but, on the contrary, with a conception of study that can be summarized in this formula. Do not study by heart, but use memory to study. Let's look at a selection of scientific contributions that underlie this statement. 1. The first entry of information into memory occurs during the comprehension phase, when the student makes the first encodings on the incoming data according to personal methods, that is, giving an individual imprint to the encoding of the study material. 2. One of these imprints is given by the use of coding specificity. A stimulus, associated with a certain situation, recalls the experience if it was actually present when the experience took place. Translated to the didactic level, this means that the student who underlines or highlights keywords will remember them better because he has codified them by labeling them with colors or underlines when he encountered them for the first time in the text. 3. Coding consistency is also essential. We know that, to promote good memory, it is important that the encodings required in the comprehension phase occur according to methods that will also be taken up in subsequent study phases or that, at least, do not contradict them. That is, if the teacher has introduced a topic using a graphic scheme, maintaining the scheme as the logical pivot of the explanation will promote in the students both understanding and remembering what he has said. 4. It is a certain fact that memory is not a simple duplication of experience but a re-elaboration of it, sometimes very noticeable. For example, one almost never finds an accurate reproduction of a text, but a general scheme that is outlined in the first recollection and becomes progressively more precise in the subsequent ones. This initial structure is the starting point of all the work of recollection during which the details and secondary information are then reconstructed. 5. Indeed, as various authors demonstrate, it can often happen that we remember having read or heard what the result of our own inferences is instead only. 6. However, this freedom of reconstruction also brings advantages because it means that we have the possibility to discover new knowledge, add or generate new knowledge, deduce relationships between them. 7. We know that there are short-term memories that have been studied and defined differently. Sensory memory, primary memory, short-term memory, working memory. 8. We also know that the contents of a short-term memory are lost if they are not repeated within a short time of being administered. 9. Keeping information in memory can happen in two ways. Thanks to an emotional propulsive thrust that does not require repetition. When an event or a thought is associated with emotions and sensations that are important to us, we have no difficulty remembering it. Thanks to a cognitive propulsive push that requires various repetitions. When we have to repeat a long and elaborate text, we are forced to review it several times to remember it well. The two propulsive actions have strengths and weaknesses. The first push certainly offers the advantage of reducing the effort of studying, but it is certainly not easy to always propose teaching situations full of great emotional significance. The second push, on the other hand, is certainly more tiring and, if used, shows that we are studying something that does not emotionally touch us deeply, but sometimes it is really necessary because the concepts are particularly abstract and elaborate. 10. Repeating is already in a certain sense recalling what is contained in memory. The attempt to repeat creates a path of access to the archived material. The higher the number of times that path is traveled, the more the path is paved for a subsequent retrieval. But every time you do it, it's like a rediscovery. New meanings emerge, unexpected conceptual configurations are determined, consolidated networks are systematized. And this is because memory recovery, due to the reconstructive logic that characterizes it, is an act similar to the so-called generation effect, that is, discovery. And here is a list of final indications resulting from the considerations made. Block through repetition the physiological loss of information that characterizes the first moments of the memorization process, interrupting the indiscriminate accumulation of information destined to be forgotten, and instead subjecting it to adequate consolidation procedures before accepting other information. Implement procedures that consolidate acquired knowledge in memory, making sure that the reconstructions of what is contained in the teaching material are precise and do not produce improper or distorted meanings. Train to memorize and not just to accumulate in the memory a series of contents and verbal meanings to memorize. Make the mechanisms for retrieving stored information active and efficient. Promote long-term memorization, avoiding focusing too much on short-term memorization.